I think it's time to do something about this hole, or should I say my base, seeing as I live here. And when work began back on episode 2, I said how I wanted the hole to go all the way down to bedrock level. So far we've got as low as Y level 24, which is good progress, but there's still another 80 blocks of depth still to go, and 3/4 of that is going to be Deepslate. But in my defence, it's not as though we've done nothing. For starters, we have this large melon, pumpkin and sugarcane farm, as well as a 64 villager trade hall, an early game mob farm that accidentally but rather nicely doubles as a music disc farm, a storage room dedicated to the nether, including a netherwart farm, and our portal to the hellish dimension, a dead dog, dead cows and sheep, dead villagers, and an enderman farm, full of trapped endermen that are about to be dead. Are now dead. And finally, to top it all off, fully enchanted top of the range gear that many players would die for. Okay, that's enough death references. The point is, I've been a busy boy, so I haven't been able to solely focus on the hole. I remember starting with copper tools. Man, that was slow going. Something I'll never have to face again, and with the mining powers of a Haste 2 beacon, and access to unlimited tools and enchants from these guys, as long as I make sure to give the farmers what they want, there's no need for me to worry about ever returning to that dark age, at least while we're mining stone and similar blocks. That Deepslate's going to be a different animal. Obviously I'm going to be collecting every block I mine because you never know when you're going to need them, so expect whatever this disorganised abomination I've got going on here to get even more out of hand. And it's actually part of the reason I'm digging this hole, because like what I've done with giving the nether its very own dedicated storage room, I want other spaces carved out to become dedicated storage rooms to other categories. Things like stone related blocks, natural/nature blocks, mob drops, passive and hostile, the end blocks, which we all know is due an update, and I personally am of the opinion is imminent within the next couple of years, so presumably would introduce more blocks into the game. There's a lot of different ways I can split the storage up, and I've still got to figure out how I want to categorise said storage. But until I excavate all of those blocks, I can't properly map out how many levels, like the nether storage, we can fit. And I know a question some of you might have is, if you know how many blocks deep you have to go until you reach the bottom of the world, can't you just work out how many storage layers you can fit using simple math? And while the answer is yes, I could do that, the answer is also no, because I haven't decided what I want to do at the bottom of this hole and how many blocks worth of space that's potentially going to take up, or if I can fit it at all. Fast forward a bit, and about 30 to 50% of each layer I take out is now composed of Deepslate. It's slowing me down considerably, and now I'm at full Deepslate, and we're not benefiting much from our haste beacon. Now, I know a few of you want me to use moss as a quicker way of removing the Deepslate, seeing as we have so much of it to remove, but as I've said on a previous video, I do like building with Deepslate, and this is a great opportunity to collect a load of the stuff. Or I should specify, not Deepslate as it is, but the cobbled variant, which is the variant that can be cut and crafted into other variants, whereas the raw Deepslate by itself can't. Meaning I need to mine with my fortune pickaxe. But I've only got the one, all the rest are silk touch. And I can't imagine this pick having the durability to remove all of the Deepslate we need to remove. And I don't want to take several trips to the enderman farm to continuously have to repair it. So this is the perfect excuse to buy more pickaxes. And the books to enchant the things. So, guess where we need to go? That's right, the Enderman Farm, the place I was just saying how much I wanted to visit. But to be fair, it's a great place for enchanting, with the endless amount of XP we have to hand. But I can't help but feel like they're missing something. That's right, they're only diamond. From not minding going through hundreds of caveman tools at the start of the world, to now, I'm going full snob and only wanting netherite gear, so I'm down at the bottom of the nether searching for ancient debris. Yes, it's a lot of effort to go through in order to avoid a few extra trips to the Enderman Farm, but it's all about that long-term investment too. And man, I like the smell of ancient debris cooking in the morning, because it means progress, even more appetizing than breakfast. What in the list of diversions is this? Well, it turns out before you go netherite hunting, you should probably make sure you've got the smithing templates and diamonds spare for duplication first. To be fair to myself, I've got 4 templates spare. It's just that we have 10 diamond picks to upgrade. Not all of them are going to be fortune picks either, so it's not as if we're going to be using them all during Deepslate excavation this episode. But as far as I'm concerned, if I'm down here looking for diamonds, I might as well pick up enough to upgrade them all at once. And here I am now upgrading said tools after the mother of diversions. All I can think of as I'm taking out this Deepslate is how I'm going to be able to whip out a spare pickaxe when this one has low durability, saving me a trip over to the end of a few minutes. Wow, talk about efficient. Also, slight bit of market research here, but several people said they liked the time lapses of some of my other videos, so I'm going to have one of me mining all of this Deepslate, which is going to be a bit of a blur because it's going to be removing so fast, but I'm just curious if this is something you'd like me to include more often, or something you personally don't particularly care for, because sometimes I look at sped up footage like what I've included in previous episodes and think, can anyone actually tell what's going on, or is it just me? Photosensitivity warning in 3, 2, 1, action. Alright, and we're back out the other side of that 8.5 hour mining session, and I was starting to feel it during those last couple of hours. Nothing to do with the length of time it took us to remove all of that Deepslate, but because real life choices were made and I overdosed on carbohydrates. I'm telling you, I haven't had a carbohydrate induced coma as bad as that one for a while. But aside from that, the actual mining process was a nice experience. I spent most of it zoned out even prior to the banquetous carbs. Bedrock is now visible. We have reached the bottom of the world, and that's quite the sight. It's almost daunting when I think about all the things I want to do in this place, and for some reason the hole looks deeper when I'm looking down at it from above. Now you can see it's a huge space we're working with, but it's not until you see the newly added 17 chests of blocks that it really sinks in, and almost all of that is cobbled Deepslate. We shouldn't be running out of that anytime soon. Oh, and yeah, we picked up almost 4 stacks of diamonds, recuperating on our earlier investment into the smithing templates, but they're not showing up on our statistics top scorers. Deepslate definitely is. That number 3 spot of almost 71,000 blocks was earned. What was surprising was the realization we'd collected so much netherrack, but it makes sense with all of the ancient debris searching we've done. Now, there's a few things I want to show you, the first being our mining hub we formed back on episode 1, which is nothing more than a handful of chests in a small carved out space, except now half of it is hanging out in open air. And I uncovered this spider spawner a bit further down prior to the time-lapse star pin and never addressed it, because there are other spawners in the world we've found and I don't want this in the base. And at this point in the game, the chests haven't got anything worthwhile. Now I wanted to dig out the rest of this hole this episode because, as said earlier, I wanted to plan the other layers. And I don't know how clear it is on your screen, but I have mapped out where those layers are going to be located. And I did a little bit of off-screen planning, and I've decided I want our world storage to be split into 8 different categories, with them being the same height as one another. I can only just fit them all in. Crazy. And that alters some of the plans I had for the base. I've even started to think that maybe these guys' days are numbered if all of the chests we're going to have to put in across all of the layers as a sort of lag preventative strategy. Not something I want to do. It's never nice to see a person burn to death from lava being poured over them, so for now we're going to shelf that as a last resort. But at the same time, nothing's being ruled out. And that's going to be it for this episode. Thanks for watching. If you've made it this far, it really does mean a lot, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Alright, bye.